To the MLB DFS podcast. I'm Howard Bender, filling in for John and Pemba, and filling in for the James Grande tonight. We got none other than Dan Malin. You guys can find our Twitter handles right there. I should probably just kind of put us, just you and me here, I think, at some point, so that we can kind of say hi to everybody and be like, yeah, this is us. What's going on, Dan? How are you, man?
Doing really well. Been very excited, a little bit nervous about this podcast, just because a couple of times I've jumped in on MLB DFS content. I've watched John and James fill in all the time. I'm always amazed at how they can just rattle off the left-handed hitters in every team's lineup and just know like the good platoon matchups. I can't even remember when I wake up every day that I'm left-handed. So kudos to those guys. But still very excited to be here and help out Better Sports Network and the family with their MLB DFS preparation for Friday slate.
Yeah, you're going to be seeing a little bit of me and a little bit of Dan, a little bit more. You're also going to be seeing Colby Conway, Adam Ronis. John is on his honeymoon right now. He's traipsing around Europe. Good for him. And Grande is, I think, on some sort of a family vacation as well. So,
yeah,
you guys get us. And listen, we're going to take you through everything the way that the boys usually do it. We're going to talk about our top plays. We're going to talk about our fades for the night. We're going to talk some stacks. We'll even try and build around a little bit of a lineup here and see if we can't get you guys some good working knowledge here. Because, I mean, let's face facts. We're talking about this right now. Lineups are not in, so we don't see what the stacks are. So this is just strictly based on, like on paper, what we're looking at, the certain numbers and things like that. So let's start it off here as John and James do. Now, they usually talk about their top 3 hits from their last broadcast. I don't have one. Do you?
I do not. No, so we're off to a great start.
Here we go. Batted 1,000, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So, I mean, listen, overview of the slate, just kind of taking a look at it. I think first and foremost, Dan, it's Coors Field.
Yeah, and when I looked at the slate, I was really hoping that we were going to get, a Coors Field just to make it a little easier, just to throw out some hitters. And we're getting the Angels in Coors Field, so obviously, Ohtani and Trout are going to be very appealing options. I was really bummed that the Reds and Braves didn't quite make this 7:05 lock time, since they start 25 minutes earlier. But we got Coors, to no surprises. It's the highest projected total on the slate of the night. I'm not going to lie, I was actually playing around with plugging Kyle Freeland in as my SP2 on DraftKings at the right price of just $5,000. I understand like that's playing with fire, but he's actually done pretty well at home. So if you're a bit of a masochist, I guess you could go that route. But overall, still a really fun slate. Pitching, some really good pitching options. We were both kind of on board with who we like, who we don't like, and plenty of teams to stack on this loaded slate.
I am not going with Kyle Freeland today.
I can't blame you. I was looking at him like, it's a guy that's $5,000 and maybe he can squeeze out 5 innings and limit the damage and I can spend up elsewhere. But, if I'm doing 20 lineups, maybe I mix him into 2, but I'm probably only going to do like 3 to 5 lineups and easily just going to avoid it altogether.
Yeah, Angels, I mean, they're a top 12 team in the in the league against left-handed pitching. So, I never want to, kind of dazzle, dabble in that and see what I want to try. I think there are some other names that we could definitely take a look at. Always check out the Fantasy Alarm weather page, so that way you can make sure you can see if the wind's blowing in, if the wind's blowing out. Obviously, weather reports right now. We are recording this the night before, so the weather reports are unreliable at this point in time right now. So check the fantasyalarm.com/weather. Is the page that you want to go to and get all of that information. Let's make it nice and easy here. Let's go quick and dirty. Let's talk about the pitchers who we like. Why don't you start off here? Pitchers who you like for tonight's action. Top play, top value.
Top play for me is going to be Shane Bieber. Strangely enough, only the 5th most expensive pitching option on the slate on DraftKings. Really love him. Love the matchup. At home, opposing hitters, they're only slashing 209, 277, 281, and he's got a 1.89 ERA. He's averaging 20 fantasy points per game at home on DraftKings. Cleveland's minus 140 favorites to win outright, and projected game total opened at 8 runs even. So, I'm willing to avoid, Webb, Senga, Gilbert, and Giolito, and just, go with Shane Bieber as my top pitching option on the board. Top value. I'm curious if you think Emmett Sheehan is going to be maybe like a chalk donkey play just based on what he did in his first start. It's not entirely a lock that he's going to get another start after this, and it is a tough matchup at home against the defending World Series champions in the Houston Astros. So I am curious how you feel about them, but at the same time, I'm perfectly fine playing Kyle Gibson against the Mariners.
Yeah, I like the pay down. I think, I think Sheehan will probably be, GPP chalky. I think a lot of people kind of jump on that and see, who they like the most from there. But, again, when you're talking about the fact that he's 6,500 and what that's going to open up, I mean, who are the pitchers who are around him? Sandoval, Corbin, These are not guys who you're going to want to use. So, listen, I don't mind taking that shot on Sheehan and hoping that he does well. Dodgers have not been a very strong team offensively in recent weeks. I think here over the last 7 days, the Dodgers actually, how about this? A 266 weighted on base average with a 0.71 isolated power mark. So they've hit 3 home runs in the last 7 days. They're not hitting for any power. 26.5. Oh, you know what? I'm supposed to be looking at Houston. Come on, Dan. You're supposed to keep me on the straight and narrow, buddy. Houston's middle of the pack. They're middle of the road. 307 weighted on base average, a 149 isolated power mark. So, I mean, it's middle of the road. So I think that Sheehan is definitely a guy who can probably return at least some semblance of a decent value for you on this slate. My pay down, the value I like, believe it or not, here is Wade Miley. I think
that's going to be one spot that we actually disagree on this week. But I love that we can be on two ends of the spectrum for this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a Wade Miley fan. But he came back from injury, shut down the Pirates in his first matchup there. And if you look at his game log, like with the exception of getting thumped by the Dodgers for 7 runs, he has 6 starts where he never gave up more than 3 runs. And, and the strikeout numbers aren't really what you want. But for me as like a second starter, I mean, I think that, I'm not really going to mind. I do like Bieber as a top play here as well. I definitely do. But I kind of feel like I might hang in the value range a little bit in order to be able to get those bats from, because I'm going to want Padres bats. I'm going to want Rockies against Sandoval. I'm going to want some Angels going up against Freeland. And so for that factor, Wade Miley, I'll forego the strikeouts from him and see if he can't just keep that Cleveland lineup in check. Let's face it, dude, the Guardians against lefties, 301 WOBA, 133 isolated power mark. Again, they're not a big strikeout team, but they're not hitting for anything. They're not hitting for shit. They're like 4th lowest in the in the league right now. So that's kind of where I'm leaning over there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pair him with Kyle Gibson.
That's a good play. Right price of 8,100 on DraftKings, and 4-1 in his last 6 starts with 4 quality starts, at least 16 fantasy points on DraftKings, and 5 of those starts. So yeah, I mean, I love Kyle Gibson as well. I might try to go with Bieber and Gibson, or if I need a real value, I might just go to Emmett Sheehan. But I think I agree with you. Kyle Gibson's a nice play on Friday.
Let's see what happens if we go, because we'll tuck him in here into the lineup for the time being, and then we'll just see where we go by the end of the whole thing. I have no problem. Bieber, I have listed as my top play also. My top spend up. So I love that. I mean, obviously, we love Milwaukee. Strikeout rate for that team has just been atrocious. So I'm pretty good there. So all right, you don't like Miley. We both like Gibson. We both like Bieber. Sheehan, we'll see what happens. I'd be willing, if we can't build a decent lineup out of this. I'll be very happy to grab myself, put Sheehan in there instead of Bieber, and let's see what we can do.
Let's do it.
Any particular pitchers that you're looking at fading for the night?
It's probably going to be Logan Gilbert. Just looking at the home road splits, wasn't in love with them earlier. I'm just trying to see what I have for him in my notes. But yeah, I like the way Baltimore's coming around. And the only reason I initially was off on Gibson is because we talked about in football a lot. The West Coast team that's to travel east, and I know the Mariners have already been on the East Coast. But it's just one of those things where I saw how he performed away from whatever they're calling Seattle Stadium right now, T-Mobile Park or something like I can't even remember.
You can call it Safeco. Let's call it the Kingdom.
I know it is Safeco. That's what it was called when I visited some family out there. But I know it's had 3 or 4 name changes since, and I can't keep up with advertising in baseball. But I know he even had a home ERA of 4. I think his road ERA was closer to 4, 5, 7. So I was instantly turned off by that. So I'm not in the mood to pay up for Logan Gilbert when I can go elsewhere in that range to 2 other guys.
Funny enough, you and I, we should just, instead of sharing the screen with this DraftKings lineup, we should just do the Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other.
Yeah.
Right, little samesies. Right. All right, so great. This is our initial blush here again. Locking it in. We'll try Bieber with Gibson, and if we pay down to Sheehan, we'll pay down to Sheehan. We'll take a look and see what we're gonna need. Don't forget, guys, do me a favor, hit that the like button on the video, and subscribe to the Fantasy Alarm YouTube page, the Better Sports Network YouTube page as well. You're getting a ton of great videos and shorts and everything that's coming in there. And of course, with Fantasy Alarm doing their NFL draft guide right now, you might want to get over there. fantasyalarm.com/draft guide. Use that promo code Howard if you're going to go with the All Pro subscription. It'll take 50% off your first 6 months. You get the guide for free with your subscription, or if you just want to buy the guide on its own, $26.99, fantasyalarm.com/draft guide. And then also we're running a 7-day free trial. So take it for a spin. See what you like. Play some MLB DFS, win that money, and it'll pay for your subscription right off the bat. So
for sure.
That's my spiel. Let's go to the infield here. I mean, we'll just kind of, we'll take some broad strokes. Maybe some different positions, some same positions. I'll lead it off here. We'll just say my top play. I'm going to go with Manny Machado. I'm going to go against Patrick Corbin. Anytime you get a chance to stack some right-handed bats against Patrick Corbin, I highly recommend it. So Padres look like they're coming into their own. They're just coming off of this 10-0 thumping of the San Francisco Giants. So for me, it's Machado. Leaning on Corbin there as my top play. How about you?
I do like another member of the Padres. I believe Juan Soto has something like 4 straight games with multiple hits. But my top play, and this is, I think, where we're going to defer on Wade Miley. I really like Jose Ramirez Friday night. Getting very hot with the bat. Since June 7th, he's slashing 434, 466, and 868. Seems a little bit mispriced at 5,400. Sure, it's a premium. You're paying it for a good player, but I think he's playing more like a high 5K, low 6K type of player. So I fully expect Jose Ramirez to keep going heading into the weekend.
Well, we're gonna have to duke it out when we build our lineup, since we're both loving the third baseman here, the expensive third baseman.
Yes, sir.
What we can do. I'm gonna go to the other side of the diamond here for my my value play. And I'm gonna pick on Clark Schmidt. I'm gonna pick on the Yankees. Yankees just getting absolutely abused by the Seattle Mariners. In yesterday's game, I just, I worry about Clark Schmidt, whether or not he can really actually keep this lineup down. I mean, the Texas Rangers, probably the top hitting lineup. Them and the Rays, the two of them are the top 2 offenses in Major League Baseball. Nate Lowe, lefty first baseman. He's kind of priced down a little bit in the sense that, look at that. You can get him at 4,200 over at first base. So, and that could actually lead into a little bit of a Texas Rangers stack, which we might be eyeballing there. So value play for me, Nate Lowe.
Is Severino pitching tomorrow for the Yankees?
No, he shouldn't be. It said Clark Schmidt is what I saw.
DK is showing Severino, so
DK is showing Severino.
Yeah.
Let's see. MLB schedule. Says Friday the 23rd, Dane Dunning versus Clark Schmidt.
Yeah, ESPN showing the same thing. All right, DraftKings, get your act together.
Dun 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 dun. Even if it's, I'll tell you what, even if it's Severino, I still love this Texas lineup.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, they're putting up runs and hitting incredibly well. But my value play, I really like going to second base. Whit Merrifield, I know he doesn't have a ton of power. Still has stolen base upside. Seems underpriced. I believe he's 3,800. I'll just confirm. Yep. He's hitting 343 over the last month. And what I like is that he's hitting closer to the top of the order. I think for the last handful of games, especially this week, he's hit second in that lineup. So Whit Merrifield was a guy that I was instantly plugging into my early lineups just to see how much salary he could save and where I could allocate that elsewhere. So I do like the potential for him to put up double-digit points, especially against James Caprillion, who is awful on the road for Oakland.
I got a confession to make.
Go for it.
When I bet against Oakland, I crap the bed. I don't know what it is. You've seen it, right? You've seen the picks.
Right.
Like all of a sudden, I went from like sky high in the world, and then all of a sudden I went into like the crapper for a couple of weeks, and it was tough. And every time I was betting against Oakland, because you're trying to find some value, and the money line against Oakland is always like minus 260.
Right.
You're not going to bet that. So you try to play around with the run line, and you look at it right now in the 8-game losing streak that the A's are on right now. 6 out of those 8 games were 1-run games. 6 out of 8.
Yeah.
They always manage to screw me. So, but listen, I'll throw Whit Merrifield in there against Caprillion because maybe your energy will help out my crappy energy.
That's a good tip because I am covering the MLB best bets for Friday. So I'll be sure to not target the Oakland Athletics too much.
Well, just watch them on that freaking run line. Or I mean, I wonder what the odds are for tomorrow of what they are on the run line. That ought to be. You know what? I'm gonna flip over to DK right now and take a look at it. And the Oakland Athletics getting 1.5 runs, it is plus 125 against Chris Bassett.
Yeah.
That's something to think about. Make a note for yourself there.
We'll do.
All right. Big fade tonight. Trey Turner. I just, again, he hasn't put together the season that you want.
It's been bad.
It has been bad.
Yeah.
And Senga looks like he kind of turned a little bit of a corner and started pitching much better. I'm just not going to invest in a bat like Trey Turner's and hope that he's going to turn around. 5,800 for the garbage stats that we've been getting the entire time. Yeah. It's no bueno for me.
No, easy fade. I'm in complete agreement. It's Trey Turner. That's the infield fade.
All right. Well, then I guess that we can kind of scooch into the outfield. Although, do you want to pick a catcher? We can build the lineup as we go.
Catcher. This is so the catchers that I was looking at. I know you alluded to the Texas bats. I do like Jonah Heim if he gets a start. Especially if he's going to be switch hitting and hitting lefty, he can take advantage of the short right field porch. Coors Field catchers are going to be in play, and this is another one. But if Danny Jansen can get the start tomorrow night, I target him for my Blue Jay stack. So I don't know. Whenever I pay up a catcher, it never goes well. So that's always my big reservation.
All right. Well, Danny Jansen, we'll throw him down there at 3,400 and see if we got like a nice little mini stack there. Some Jays against Caprillion. Third base, we're going to have to make that decision. Ramirez Machado. I'll lean on Ramirez for you here for the time being.
Thank you.
But if I need to save $100, we're going right back down to Manny Machado.
That's fair.
It's going to be impossible to build this lineup now because of who I want in the outfield. And I mean, to me, it starts with Mike Trout. Right-handed bat, hits for power. Kyle Freeland tries to get, be a low ball pitcher, which, Mike Trout just kind of teased off on. 6,500. He's the third priciest guy on the slate, but I'm having a hard time not thinking about what I want to do with Mike Trout here.
My top bat in the outfield, I alluded to it earlier. I really like Juan Soto at 5,900. Multiple hits in 4 straight games. Power has been a little bit behind. I do think that it's coming around. And Patrick Corbin is pretty much awful in every facet of the game nowadays, so I have no problem picking on him, similar to how you're going to utilize Manny Machado against him as well.
Yes, indeed, sir.
But I totally understand we will need to save a little money in this range.
Yeah, I don't even know where we're gonna have to do some serious pay downs there. I was looking at I was eyeballing Nolan Jones going up against Patrick Sandoval. Nolan Jones has been crushing lefties. He's not terrible there at 4,100. But if we throw him in there next to Mike Trout, it's pushing us down to bargain basement 25.50 a player, and we still have an outfielder and a shortstop to go. Who's your big value in the outfield?
Big value in the outfield. Going back to Baltimore, I know we were talking about how we were fading Logan Gilbert. I'm perfectly fine taking some value with the O's and going to a guy like Ryan O'Hearn. O'Hearn has a 9-game hit streak with 5 extra base hits in that span. If we're also looking for value maybe at shortstop and you wanted to get exposure in Coors Field, I think Tovar is coming off the paternity list, and so he might be available tomorrow night, and he's in the low 3K range. If that might open up a little bit of salary for you to pay up more in the outfield.
Well, I mean, here you go. So if we went Jansen, Lowe, Merrifield, Jose Ramirez, Tovar, Trout, Nolan Jones, and Ryan O'Hearn, we're at 1,300 over, which means we're going to have to swap out. Now we could take out Kyle Gibson.
Yeah.
And we could actually go to Sheehan right there.
And that's an even $0 flat.
We now have 300 left over.
Yep, you're right. My apologies.
Damn it, Dan.
If you want to get that extra 100 back, you can pivot to Manny Machado at third base.
I don't think that extra 100 is gonna require it. I mean, take a look at this lineup right now. This is where we're at, people. Let's get close up. Let's get close up and personal with this one here. All right, so that's what the lineup kind of looks like right now. You guys can kind of check that out. And in the meantime, they do Grande's Gems, Impemba's Imprints. So I took I took the liberty here, Dan, of going with Bender's Big Times and Malin's Mensches.
Okay.
If that's a little, because the Jew in me loves the word mensch. If mensch is not a word that you feel comfortable with, you could come up with your own. But I thought Malin's Mensches was right on.
Yeah, we can run with that. You could also do Malin's Meltdowns or.
We don't want meltdowns. We want good stuff here, Dan.
Okay. Copy. Well, all right. So who are going to be some of your Bender's Big Times for Friday?
All right. Here we go. We'll start off the home run call. Fernando Tatis Jr.
Okay.
I mean, I could say Mike Trout. I think Mike Trout's actually going to do it, but I think Trout's going to do a whole lot more than that. So I'll just say home run call Fernando Tatis. How about you?
Going to go with his teammate to mention him at least 3 times now. I'm going to take Juan Soto.
Stack those Padres, baby. Stack those Padres. I love it. Who's your top stack?
I really like the Blue Jays. I know they can be affordable. You can probably pair them with a lot of the more expensive bats on the slate. Again, we're going to need lineups to come out, but if we're getting a guy like Merrifield and Danny Jansen, I think that's a team that can really take advantage of James Kaprielian, who is awful on the road.
Yes, he is. I'm kind of digging on the Giants, actually, against Zach Davies. He pitches to a lot of contact. The lefty bats in San Francisco are pretty strong. I love, Tyro Estrada. Lamonte Wade Jr., I think, is probably one of the more undervalued guys out there. Just want to make sure he should be at the top of the lineup, but then I want to see what the rest of the lineup is surrounding him. Where they're going to put Jock Peterson, because those are just different names that we're going to want to explore. But for the time being right now, I do love the Giants against Davies, even though we have no Giants in our lineups right now.
Does that ballpark? I remember years ago, I used to cover ballpark factors and everything like that, but I haven't followed it as closely. But is that still more of a pitcher's ballpark, or is it becoming more hitter friendly? Because I see in MLB DFS that's a ballpark that everyone seems to be more okay targeting for DFS, especially late night hammers.
No, I mean the ballpark still plays to pitching. It really does. It always has. You got that right center field where they call it Triples Alley. I mean, the outfield is so spacious. It really is. So still plays like a pitcher's park, but again, I don't mind it because the way these Giants are built, they're built for, not so much small ball, but when you have guys like Estrada and you guys like Wade, these aren't big bats that you're looking at. Jock Peterson, you expect to hit a home run.
Yeah.
The other guys just, pepper them around with some hits. I'm perfectly fine racking up DK points on base hits and runs scored.
There you go. Yep.
So Jays for you, Giants for me. What about a contrarian stack?
I think this is going to go back to where we disagree on Wade Miley a little bit, but I really like the Cleveland Guardians. Very high on Jose Ramirez. I think our next category is going to be star of the night. He's going to be my star of the night as well. So I'm pretty high on them, even like Josh Naylor a little bit as well. So if I can afford them, like a lot of my early lineups that I was playing around with were Toronto and Cleveland stacks. I understand like the Padres and Coors are going to be popular. I was mostly just trying to see what I could build that could be very different. So I've been building a lot of like Toronto Guardians, but I will be mixing in the more popular stacks as well.
Yeah, I got you on that one. I'm actually my contrarian stack. I'm going with the Orioles against Logan Gilbert because I think that people are going to be afraid of using Orioles bats against Logan Gilbert. Listen, I love, the top end of that lineup. Big Adley Rutschman fan. You don't like paying up for catching. I really dig on him. I think Anthony Santander is another underrated bat. So I think as far as a contrarian stack goes, if I'm building multiple lineups, I might play around with it. They're also not going to be too expensive, and they'll let you, sprinkle in a little bit of Coors Field in there too.
Yeah, I mean, you can also mix in like Ryan O'Hearn and Austin Hicks as well.
No doubt about it. No doubt. All right, star of the night. Oh, you said it. Jose Ramirez.
I gave mine away, yeah, because it was part of my contrarian stack. So it's more so your turn right now.
Dude. Mike Trout.
Yeah.
Surprise. He's on the cover of this. I'll have to send you the cover.
So bold of you.
Right? Come on, man. It's the first time he's in Coors this year.
No, I don't blame you.
And our value play of the night, what do you got?
It's going to be Whit Merrifield still. There are some value pieces that I'm interested in Coors a little bit. And honestly, I don't hate Anthony Volpe, but I would only play him more if like you were, going to be stacking Yankees against Texas. But I'd still like Ezekiel Tovar if he's in the lineup after being on paternity leave. But for me, I've touched on it a lot. It's going to be Whit Merrifield in the infield.
All right, and for me, it's still Nate Lowe. I mean, again, 4,200. If you can stack them up with a couple of guys, that's always nice. You stack them up. You said you like Jonah Heim. That's actually they kind of are right there near the lineup themselves. Nate Lowe bats fifth behind Adolis Garcia, and then you've got Josh Young and Jonah Heim, and that trio has been pretty damn sweet for everybody this year.
Very nice, very nice. Love it.
All right, so you guys see the lineup. You guys have heard the plays. Tune in later on today at 5 p.m. Eastern as Dan Servidilio and Adam Ronis take you through the rest of the night with the lineups and help you out with everything for that. In the meantime, for Dan Malin, I'm Howard Bender. Appreciate you all tuning in. We'll catch you next time.